Hey guys, PlatyBara here, and I am doing the 20 art style challenge. It's pretty much a challenge I've been wanting to do for the longest time, so I guess I'll just get started. So this first one is from Osumatsu-san, which is a recent anime that came out last year. I've drawn in this style only a handful of times, but I think I've pretty much gotten the hang of it. It's relatively easy to do, so pretty much if you did it, anyone can recognize the style. This one was really fun to do, especially shading with the purple, since I already kind of do that. So yeah. And then this one, oh, Naruto. I mean, the anime's good. It's hard to draw on this style because I feel like with this style, it's something you had to do for pretty much a long time just to even get the hang of it. And as you can tell, I had to jump cut to a different sketch because I had to pause recording just to re-sketch ahead about a good handful of times, so I just decided to pause until I got a good head sketch so I really wouldn't waste time. And it's just like with this style, it's simple in all the places I mostly take my good time with, like the hair. The hair is very simple along like with the shading and just everything. I just think like it is a very nice style, but it's a lot more simple than what I'm really used to doing. I mean, it's a good anime, but it's not really the best thing for me to draw. So I'll let you guys have your input on what that looks like. Sailor Moon, pretty much one of my first animes as a kid, and I kind of drew the characters a lot. I haven't really drawn in this particular style in like the longest time. That's probably why it looks kind of a bit off. But I think I'm pretty proud of this one. It's enough to recognize what the style is, so I guess that's all that really matters. I kind of use Sailor Venus as a reference because not only is she my favorite inner senshi, but she's the one I'm pretty much most identify with. So I kind of decided to use her as a reference rather than Sailor Neptune, who is also my favorite character. Coloring this was actually really easy to do, so I'm not really worried about that. The Powerpuff Girls. You've known me since middle school, you know that I love drawing in this style. Of course, in this one it is a bit off, but mainly because I was trying to make it look accurate, and I kind of failed. I probably should have done it in my own way. But, I mean, it's enough to recognize it. I kind of really had fun with this one. I'm not really gonna lie, I really miss drawing in this style. Hopefully I will draw on it again, who knows? So, yeah. This one, Animal Crossing. I was gonna draw Platy as a straight-up Tanuki, but I decided to draw her as a villager because I just find it so creepy. So I wanted to do something with that, because I really wanted to do something kind of funny for this one instead of all just serious styles. So as you can see in a bit, I'm gonna try to make her look a bit creepy. There we go, yeah, with the flame eyes. Oh, so classy. This one is actually based off of Peach in the Super Mario games. As you may know, I got the Tanuki ears and tail from Mario, so it's only appropriate to try to draw her in this style. I was gonna try to draw her in more like Daisy's style, but I like Peach more. So I kind of went with Peach. This one was pretty easy to do. I mean, it's not the hardest art style ever, but it is something that you need to pay a lot of attention to. You know, with details and the way they color hair especially. I mean, it's a good art style to try out if you want. And Pokemon. I based this one off of the Gen 5 games because I really like the art style in Gen 5 more than pretty much all the other gens. So I used Hilda as a reference. I was gonna use Rosa from Black and White 2, but I like this style a bit more, which is why it doesn't look like, you know, the classic Pokemon art style. But again, enough to recognize. I mean, my little brother can recognize it. So yeah, for this one I kind of used a bit more watercolors to help shade it, so that way it looks a bit more fluid. Oh, Love Live. You see, I was gonna do a regular picture, but I really like Yobu's face in the opening for Love Light Sunshine, so I tried to mock that face. As you can tell, I'm having a really hard time. But I mean, it's a good result in the end. And then, of course, the only actual reference I had to take were the pupils, because I just couldn't get them right. I mean, in the end, it looks really, really good. It's just like right now, it looks kind of meh. Mainly because of the eyes. The eyes are actually really hard to draw. So unless you're experienced with that. For this one, I did Kei's art style. You know, the guy that drew Miku, Renlin, and Luca's Vocaloid 2 box art along with the Hatsune Mix manga. And I've actually influenced, I mean, I'm pretty much influenced a lot from this specific art style, as you can tell by how I color eyes. So this one was pretty much a breeze to do. It's just mainly coloring that was difficult. because as you can see, I kind of switch back and forth between the reference and the drawing. And that's just because I kind of want to get all the shading right and kind of make it as accurate as possible. Now, I will admit with this one was probably the most fun one to do, because I feel like it was the most accurate one. So, I mean, if you like it, you can look into this art style. It's really fun to do, so I really recommend it whenever you try it out for your next challenge. This one is from My Little Pony Gen 3, because this was the gen I grew up with. I was going to do Gen 4, but I feel like that one's a bit overused, because it's the most popular one currently. So I did the one that I grew up with as a kid, and I used Pinkie Pie as a reference because not only was she one of my favorite ponies, back, growing up, I found her picture easier to use as a reference. So I thought drawing Platy as a pony would be actually kind of fun to do. And yeah. This one was no need, like I didn't need a reference for this one. I just drew her as a 1920s cartoon after watching a trivia video about Mickey Mouse, so I thought this would be kind of a good idea. I definitely got the eyes from Mickey Mouse and Oswald, and everything else just from on the top of my head. I mean, the black and white colors aren't really accurate, but whatever. Adventure Time! This one I really didn't need a reference for either. I actually remember whenever this show first came out, and I loved it from the beginning, and as you can tell, I kind of influenced a lot of my art style too. I love the noodle arms, so yeah. I actually kind of combined Bubblegum with Fiona for Platy. Her, Bubblegum, okay, Invader Zim! I used Gura as a reference for this one because Gura is my favorite character. I was going to use Dib, but I feel like Gura is a bit more easier to try to, get a reference from. Invader Zim is a bit weird though because it's more angular and the shading is not as saturated, so I did have a difficult time with coloring, but in the end it was a good result. Dragon Ball, another anime that I grew up with, I used Bulma as a reference. I was going to use Chi-Chi, but I decided to go with Bulma from the original Dragon Ball series. This one was actually really easy to ink in color, because I really didn't feel like a lot of shading was really needed. And of course with the ears I kind of had to wing it because I really didn't know what to do for the ears in their hoodie. And I actually had to redo the hoodie because I made the liner a bit too big. But in the end though, it was a really good result. I really had fun coloring the hair though. I will admit that was really fun to do. And yeah, Tim Burton. Okay, this one, I'm not really proud of it because I never really drawn in that style before. But I love the Corpse Bride, so I used Emily from A Corpse Bride as a reference. I basically just made the colors not as saturated and then just filled it in with a pen brush after using the brush tool to actually ink it. South Park, again one of my favorite shows. I'm afraid I butchered this one a bit badly, but it's recognizable. Of course, a reference really wasn't much needed. I mainly just needed to see where to put all the black. Yeah. And this one was a Muppet. I got this idea from my mom, and I thought it was really funny, so I decided to do the Muppets. I actually grew up with the Muppets, so I'm actually really proud of this one. Especially the Muppet Show. I love the Muppet Show. And Froggle Rock. I really love Froggle Rock too. So I just drew her as a regular Muppet. And I decided I was going to give her pink skin, but I think green skin would match a bit more. And then Steven Universe. One of the cartoons I watch most often now, especially whenever it's actually on for once. I was going to use Steven as a reference, but I decided just to use a style chart and just try to see what I can do on my own. I mean, it's not the best result, but again, enough to recognize it. That's just my main goal for this challenge. Gravity Falls, this one I'm actually really proud of. I didn't watch much of Gravity Falls once it was started airing, but after like the last season started rolling up, I decided to give it a go, and I loved it. And I thought it was really charming, and I adore it. So if you're hesitant about getting into Gravity Falls, I highly recommend it. I was going to use Dipper as a reference for this one, but I think, but I loved Mabel more. And since this is my own style, I guess I can just talk. I mean, as you can tell, you can see the art styles I was influenced from. And I'm actually really proud of where I've got so far. I mean, I really have friends to thank, especially my friend Cradle Song. I love her art, and I, pretty much grew up watching her draw throughout my middle school years. So really thank her. I mean, as you can tell, like with the shading purple thing, and just how I kind of blend some things, it's just natural to me. So I had a lot of fun doing this, and I hope to do it again. Bye!